This is Subgraph OS. It is a adversary-resistant computing platform. It has a lot of cool features, but I also found some weaknesses that I'm going to demonstrate. So first I'm going to show you a little bit about what it can do. So right up here, this shows you all of your running sandboxes. And the way that Subgraph works is there are sandboxes for many of the built-in apps. So if we come over here and open Tor browser, which is the default web browser in Subgraph, it opened a Tor browser launcher sandbox. So just to show you what that means, let's open a terminal, and this is an unsandboxed terminal. So if we look at the files, we have our documents, pictures, everything else. But if we come over to Tor browser launcher and open a terminal in this sandbox, all we have access to is downloads. We don't have access to anything else. So the idea is that if you're using Tor browser and you get hacked, then the attacker will be stuck in this sandbox, and it's very limited, what they can do. They can't access any of your data, and hopefully the attack will be contained. Another feature of Subgraph is the Subgraph firewall. Right now the firewall is enabled. So let me show you how that works. It's an application firewall, and so if we open the calculator app, the Subgraph developers actually noticed that the calculator tries making these requests to the internet, to the IMF, let's deny that, and then to this other domain, let's deny that. And so what it's actually doing is it's trying to look up currency conversion rates, but not many people use that feature. It probably shouldn't be doing that every single time. And so that was kind of a neat thing that the Subgraph developers discovered, was that this app and potentially other apps make little requests. And so they have this firewall that lets you deny requests that you don't want to be made. So now let me show you the attack. So I'm going to go to a website that I made. Wait, CTF. There we go. So Subgraph has a user guide called the SGOS Handbook. So I'm going to go ahead and download that. And this, I made a malicious version of the handbook. So let's just save it. And in order for this to work, I need to, user downloads. I need to put it in the Tor browser folder so that I could access it outside of the sandbox. All right, this will take a minute to download over Tor. In the meantime, let's open up Nautilus, which is the file manager. And one key thing about Subgraph is that Nautilus and the GNOME terminal aren't actually sandboxed themselves, and that's kind of one of the things that I exploit here. Let's get downloads, Tor browser. Okay, the download's just about done. All right. So here it is, SGOS Handbook. Let's go ahead and extract it. So this is actually the Git repository for the SGOS Handbook. So there's all these .md files, which are markdown files. But if we just want a PDF, let's go into build. Here we go, SGOS Handbook.pdf. So, all right, it opened the SGOS Handbook. And if we click here, we can see it open in Events Sandbox. Events is the PDF viewer, which is Sandbox. So if this PDF were malicious, then the attack should be contained within that sandbox. But actually, it was malicious, and it did a lot of things. It took a snapshot of me from my webcam when I ran that. It's actually opening. All right, it opened the Eye of GNOME sandbox to show me this snapshot of me. It downloaded a file from the internet, and it bypassed the Subgraph firewall. And then I also have this poem log. I made it write a bunch of data to this disk, which shows the output of ifconfig, which shows my MAC address of my Wi-Fi card, shows what Tor exit node I'm currently using. Here's an SSH key that I'm using. Here's nearby Wi-Fi, and whoa, that's a lot of it. Here's saved Wi-Fi networks. All this could be used to de-anonymize me. Yeah, I ended up getting unsandboxed arbitrary code execution by exploiting an issue kind of in Nautilus, but also in Subgraph. And I could briefly show you how this works. So if we go over to build, this file right here isn't actually a PDF. This is actually a .desktop file. So let me show you build. So this is actually SGOS handbook.pdf.desktop. So if I make it so that it's no longer executable, then it just looks like this. But if it's executable, then you can't tell that it's not a PDF. And so what this .desktop file does is it basically just runs a script. And it runs the script unsandboxed. Because Nautilus is not in a sandbox, this script isn't in a sandbox. And one of the first things that it does is it opens up the actual PDF inside of a sandbox so that it can be stealthy. I wrote about how this attack works in a lot more detail on my blog, so check that out if you're interested.